DLC 1's Dead of the Night had a serious lack of hype due to a lack of a trailer. In the zombies community, we've come to expect a trailer a month in advance and a lot of hype built up. And this made me think back to DLC 1 of Black Ops 3, Der Eisendrache, the Iron Dragon. This map was actually perfect for casuals, for hardcore players. It fit everybody, and I think Der Eisendrache is easily a top 5 map objectively. Subjectively, it is one of my 2 favorites, and just like the Shadows of Evil video, we're gonna break this map down. After acquiring the summoning key from Shadows of Evil and killing Richtofen 1.0 and the Giant, Der Eisendrache was the next puzzle piece. The mission was clear: extract the soul from Dempsey 1.0, and the trailer was so epic that everyone and their mentally deficient gerbil was hyped. In that trailer, we saw a perfect balance of returning things and new things, which is exactly what this map turned out to be. The 2 launch maps before Der Eisendrache were polar opposites. Shadows of Evil was complex and unfamiliar, whereas the Giant was a remaster, so it was simple and very familiar. Der Eisendrache blended the 2, made the map seem familiar and also unfamiliar. There was lots of innovation, but there were so many returning features that it felt like a map we'd played in the past. It welcomed noobs with open arms and also pleased the hardcore players, whereas with Dead of the Night, it seems to only please the hardcore players. The majority of players are casual, and if you want to keep their attention, you need to make pack-a-punching and turning on the power fairly simple, which Der Eisendrache nailed. Turning on power is as simple as opening up 4 doors and flipping 1 switch, and pack-a-punching is as simple as clicking 2 buttons. Everything beyond that point is optional. As long as you have a double pack-a-punched weapon, you have just as good of a shot at survival. Der Eisendrache is great because it doesn't cram an hour setup process down your throat. It literally takes 10 minutes for the bare minimum. But of course, 99% of players do acquire the Wrath of the Ancients, the wonder weapon of this map. Similarly to Mob of the Dead, where you feed the 3 dog heads to get the Hell's Retriever, on Der Eisendrache you feed the 3 dragon heads to get the Wrath of the Ancients. The dragon heads are impossible to miss, they're evenly spread out throughout the map, and it doesn't feel like a chore because you're literally killing zombies to complete it. You're not running around collecting items, you're simply playing the game. After feeding the 3 dragons, in any order you'd like, I may add, you go down to the Undercroft and receive your bow. Now this bow, again, doesn't even need to be upgraded, but if you choose to go the extra mile and choose to complete this quest, you get an added bonus of having an upgraded bow. And upon receiving the bow, you're presented with 4 different possible upgrades, all of which are just as good as the next. Some might say the lightning upgrade is better, and I think it is better for camping, but each bow will give you a good chance of survival. Each upgraded bow does certain things better than the other, so really it does come down to personal preference. The ability to choose between 4 different wonder weapons gives you so much more replayability and so much more variety. On solo, you can hop in, get your favorite bow, and even upgrade the others if you want for extra ammo in the higher rounds. If you're playing with a party of 4, you get to decide amongst yourselves who gets what bow, which adds so much more personality as well. And what's also cool is if you get sick of the bow you have midway through the game, you can just swap with your buddy. This exact wonder weapon system was on full display in Origins with the staves. In fact, the bows are pretty much almost exact copies of the staves. But in my opinion, I prefer the bows. I think they're smoother, and they're certainly more effective at longer distances and probably just as effective at closer distances. Once you and your buddies choose who gets what bow, you each go on your own personal quest to acquire it. A quest that doesn't directly tell you what to do, but subtly tells you what to do, which I think is good. You know, I don't want them telling me which room to go to and what to press, and let's be honest, for the most part, people just look up tutorials. But my point is, it's not impossible to learn how to upgrade the bows on your own. The story of this map clearly revolves around Dempsey, but with these bow upgrades come these small side stories. While upgrading to the wolf bow, you learn about the Wolf King and the war and all this cool shit that doesn't really have much to do with the main storyline, but is there and is cool. The stories behind the other 3 bows are less clear to me, but if you care enough, you can learn about those stories. They add this level of enigma behind this already huge and thought out map. The bows added a lot of variety, and so did the returning Wonder Fizz machines from Origins. And some of the perks in the map were exclusive to this machine, those being Deadshot Daiquiri, Electric Cherry, and Widow's Wine. Challenges like the Rainbow Perk Challenge, the Reverse Rainbow Perk Challenge, and a bunch of others became possible on a map like this, which gave us so much more replayability. Monkey Bombs returned, the Rocket Shield returned, and even Anti-Gravity that we saw in Moon came to this map. But it was temporary in a small area, so it didn't annoy you. Hellhounds made an appearance on the map, and of course, with 4 OP wonder weapons, you need an OP boss, and that's where the Panzer Soldat steps in. Just like on Origins, you know the round he's coming in, he comes in, and still manages to surprise you, sets you on fire, shocks you in place, and sometimes rapes you. Did I really just say that? I don't think I'm allowed to say that. Clearly, the Panzer can be a pain in the ass, but he is absolutely necessary for a map with 4 extremely powerful wonder weapons, which again adds to the balance of this map and really gets the adrenaline pumping in both pros and noobs. Really, all you're doing on this map is turning on the power, maybe spinning the box, and getting a bow. That's all you need to do. And alongside that, acquiring the specialist, the Ragnarok GG4, is super simple. You just have to grab 3 different parts. Just like Shadows, there are many small Easter eggs around the map that are super cool, like the Panzer helmet, the song song, the free gobble gum. There are also some small things like rewards that can help you out in earlier rounds. Like with the tram fuses, you can get some cool drops. Transportation around the map is super easy with the Wonder Sphere and the teleporters. The gate trap was a cool innovation, and the death ray is easily one of the best traps ever. It is the most effective way to kill the Panzer safely, and will just murk everything that steps near it. So my point is, the map is super straightforward, super simple, and easy to learn, but it also innovated a lot. It made it feel like a fresh experience while also being so familiar. The majority of people seem to enjoy this map, but the people that don't have one strong and valid argument against Eisendrache, that it is too easy. That the bows make it too easy to survive. That in fact, anybody can grab a lightning bow, sit in the corner, and get to round 100 easily. Which is true, there's no disputing that, but I would like to ask you, if you have a problem with Eisendrache being too easy, do you have a problem with Revelations being too easy, or Zetsubo, or literally any other BO3 map being too easy? Because technically with double pap, it's infinite damage in any match. Technically, on any map, you can run around, train, and with double pap, you can just constantly kill the zombies. It just recharges on its own. If Eisendrache were in BO2 with no gobblegum and no double pack-a-punch, I think it would be the easiest map ever, but the fact that there are those things in BO3 sort of camouflages it with the rest of the maps. If you have a problem with Eisendrache being too easy, you likely have a problem with Black Ops 3 being too easy. Sure, it's mindless and boring sitting in the corner with a lightning bow, but you could just as well train with a wolf bow. In fact, there are no shortage of great training areas on this map. There's down by the Undercroft with the anti-gravity, there's the church, there's the 2 courtyards, there's the bastion with the death ray, and I'm sure you could even make the rocket pad work out. Really, with these bows, you can survive just about anywhere, and that's another thing I love about Eisendrache and BO3 maps at large. It feels like every single part of the map is important. I feel like I can be on any part of the map and have just as good of a time. I have just as good as a chance of survival. Everything is spaced out perfectly. There's either a shield part or, you know, some sort of part for the quests, for the bows. There's always something in a room that gives it some value. There isn't any wasted space on Eisendrache, and it manages to do so without being perfectly symmetrical. Shadows of Evil is perfectly symmetrical because there are 4 districts and everything is divvied out evenly. Eisendrache doesn't have 4 distinct locations on the map, but it still manages to balance everything out perfectly. The flow isn't as seamless as some other maps, but it flows just well enough for it to feel good. The size of the map also feels perfect. It's not a small map and it's not huge. And to top all of this off, the atmosphere of Eisendrache is easily my favorite atmosphere in any zombies map. First of all, it's a snowy map, and you can never go wrong with a snowy atmosphere. Second of all, the map is in a medieval castle, and we all know that I'm a sucker for medieval castles. There's just something about medieval times. The map is so engaging and so captivating just by the aesthetic of it. You know, I look around and I think, I'm in a fucking castle. There have been wars here. And again, with the whole story of the Wolf King and the Apothicon lore as well, I'm just walking around and I'm like, damn, what the hell? I mean, this is crazy. I'm also a huge history geek, which makes me like it so much more. And the map is based off of a real castle in Austria, which makes it even better. I feel like the map is divided in 2 sections. There's the top layer and then the bottom layer. On the top layer, when you're standing on top of the castle, you look out and you just see this bright blue sky, and you're just surrounded by snowy mountaintops, and it feels like you're isolated from the rest of society. You really truly feel alone. And then on the bottom layer, inside the castle, you see how it's designed. You see all of this intricacy. The tunnels that the zombies crawl out of from the ground. It's just really cool. And this atmosphere is perfect for zombies. You feel hopeless. You feel completely alone in this giant gridlock castle. But the atmosphere isn't horrific. It's kind of beautiful. How many maps out there creep you out while also looking fucking beautiful? The color scheme is also fantastic. On the outside, you have the cold and the blue, and on the inside of the castle, it's glowing, it's vibrant, it's orange. And the fact that they can inject zombies into this atmosphere, and futuristic weapons, and 4 elemental bows, it's simply remarkable. Eisendrache, like Shadows and the majority of BO3 maps, pay attention to fine detail. Everything looks and feels great. I tried my best to explain the atmosphere of the map, but really it's inexplicable. You just have to experience it for yourself. Now, let's talk about the Easter egg. It's perfect. There's no RNG, you're not hoping for a box weapon, you're not hoping for a certain item to spawn in. It's fairly quick, the average player can get it done in 1 hour. The majority of steps are explained very well in-game and also are easy to follow, and it's concluded by one badass boss fight that I die in the majority of times I go into, but I feel like that's what an Easter egg should be about. Some easy steps that lead up to a really hard conclusion. It doesn't waste your time, it's not overly complicated, it cuts the bullshit. On Garad Krovi, the 6 steps, which is like 80% of the Easter egg, aren't even necessary for the story. All you actually have to do is activate your specialist in the spawn room to get the thing from Nikolai. You don't actually have to do those steps. Well, you do to complete it, but in terms of the story, they aren't necessary. Easter eggs that are fetch quests that make no sense and are just unnecessarily complicated are annoying and I don't want to complete them. But Eisendrache doesn't do that. It's an Easter egg that casuals can actually enjoy and hardcore players can complete time and time again. You travel back in time, plug in some codes, betray Groff, and blow up the moon. What's there not to love? We extract the soul from Dempsey 1.0, and then in the next 2 DLCs, we anticipate doing the same for Nikolai and Takio. It was a perfect DLC 1, a perfect beginning to the cycle, and everybody was behind it. Eisendrache to me is a reskin of Origins, but simplified, and I think that's perfect because Origins is a great map, but for most players, it is a bit too complicated. They essentially made an Origins that everybody can enjoy. Getting the essentials is easy. Turning on the power and pack-a-punching doesn't require much thought. Everything beyond that point is completely optional. If you want to take it a step further, you can. If you don't want to, it's not necessary. It does give you a huge bonus if you do it though, which is good. You don't want to force players to have to do something like that, but you do want to reward the people that choose to. Eisendrache is perfect to me because it does everything that a good zombies map should. It caters towards casual people while also giving hardcore people some extra bonuses. It's extremely replayable through the Wonder Fizz and the 4 elemental wonder weapons. The Easter egg has its difficult moments, but for the most part is fairly easy. The map is beautifully designed, the atmosphere is A1, and though the bows can make things perhaps too easy, I would argue that Black Ops 3 had already made things too easy, with Gobblegum and Double Pack-a-Punch. When developing maps in the future, I think Treyarch should look back on maps like Eisendrache and a few others, of course, and think, what did we do right in these maps? Because honestly, I think 95% of the community is in love with this map. 5% of people that don't like this map either think it's too easy or there's some other weird reason. Is Eisendrache the best map of all time? It is in the conversation. I don't objectively think it is the best. I personally think it's tied with Origins, Mob of the Dead, maybe Garage Crovy. Shadows is in the conversation there. There's a lot of maps that could be that #1, and Eisendrache is among those. But I think it pleased everybody, and I think it is a perfect map, quote unquote. If you guys enjoyed this, leave a like and tell me down below what map you want me to do next. I'm going to pick all of the Treyarch maps, and I'm going to do them eventually, so don't worry about that. But just let me know what you want to see next. And also, guys, go follow me on Twitter. I don't say it enough. You really should. The link is in the description. These videos are basically me just breaking them down and coming up with some sort of conclusion. So the more likes I get on this, the more encouraged I am to continue this series. Anyways, I hope you have a great day. And you know what? Fuck that. I hope you have an awesome day. And I gotta go, so see you, man.